Okay, I think we're all dimmered and deserted, I guess. So maybe we'll go ahead and get started on the reason we're all here today. So we have a program coming up, and we'll see how that goes. But before we get into that, I want to introduce a few people that are here with us this evening. Andrea Boland, Pi Cutter Extraordinaire, is the Assistant Vice President for Advancement Alumni Association, and she is the Regional Campus Liaison, and is a great friend to us. Thanks for being here this evening. We have Dr. Vision Pandy, who is our Associate Dean on the Marion campus. We have Dr. Leslie Biden-Henderson, who is our Assistant Dean on the Marion campus, over there. We have Gary Hines, who is the Development Officer for the campus, over there. We have Wayne Rowe, Director of Marketing and Communications, wandering, there he is, in front, thank you. And I mentioned already Deanna Backfield from our library, who put together the displays that you see. Thank you for that. And then two other individuals I have to give a special shout out to. One is Kathy Gerber, our Director of Development and Community Relations, and the other is Jody Summerlock, who's our Program Coordinator, and without whom this wouldn't have happened. So thanks, Kathy. Thanks, Jody. And then I have one other person to introduce, who is our keynote speaker for the evening, and that is Molly Ranz-Calhoun, who is the President and CEO of the Ohio State University Alumni Association. It's written here, Ohio State, but I have to use the Z nowadays. We went through such a struggle to get it, so I got to use it. So Molly serves her alma mater as the Senior Vice President of Alumni Relations and the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Ohio State University Alumni Association. She's a tried and true Buckeye, beginning her career with Ohio State as a student employee more than 35 years ago. I always feel badly saying that, but there it is. Molly has served in a variety of leadership roles at the university, most recently before her current position as the Senior Associate Vice President and Interim Senior Vice President for the Office of Student Life. Molly has led some of the most impactful transitions across Ohio State's campus, including the university's largest ever residential construction project, the North Residential District Transformation. She also launched development of the Off-Campus Housing Excellence Program and served as a champion for Ohio State's co-curricular esports programming, including the construction of a 90-player esports arena. Molly has received the Distinguished Staff Award from the university, its highest honor for employees, and was honored as a glassbreaker by the President and Provost Council on Women. She holds a bachelor's degree in industrial design from Ohio State, and her areas of expertise, as you might imagine, include facilities construction and operations, strategic planning, and community development, all of which serve her well in her current role. Molly's parents met and fell in love at Ohio State, and together with them, Molly, her siblings, and their children have 16 Ohio State degrees. So it's my pleasure to introduce Molly Ranz-Calhoun.
Thanks, Greg. I was just saying, I started this role in May of 2020, so I have full appreciation for his description of trying to plan this event over and over and over again. So I appreciate that. But I'm thrilled to be here tonight to honor all of our accomplished Marion alumni, and thrilled to be part of this inaugural Hall of Fame event. On behalf of the Ohio State University Alumni Association, please accept my heartfelt congratulations and appreciation for everything that you do for our community. You continue to instill deep pride in all of Buckeye Nation and our wonderful ambassadors of Ohio State Marion. It's fitting that you think of Ohio State Marion as the campus of opportunity. You expand our ability to bring higher education to a broader range of citizens throughout Ohio and beyond. You meet students where they are, equipping them with the tools and resources to be successful. And I know our Hall of Fame inductees are proof of that. They came to Marion and were met with endless opportunities to help them realize all of their potential. By recognizing these honorees and their commitment to each other, this event showcases our Buckeye dedication to paying forward and making the future more vibrant for all. And it is with this very spirit of community activism and philanthropy that originally brought Ohio State to Marion. The community had a goal to use their collective power to change the world, and that change was here. Local leaders purchased the land for campus in the mid-1960s, and Morrill Hall opened soon after in the fall of 1968. Among those community backers were alumni from Ohio State, excited to bring a university to this community. The Marion campus class sizes and friendly and caring faculty, who are truly committed to making a difference in the lives of students, have been an inspiration for many, including our inductees. As to be expected, our Hall of Fame honorees attribute many of their accomplishments to the firm foundation that they built while attending Marion campus. Marion and all of our regional campuses are vital to our university's land-grant mission to offer access to higher education throughout the state, serving as a gateway to excellent and affordable college degrees. It warms my heart when I hear our President, Christina Johnson, describe our charge as a land-grant institution to equip the people from all backgrounds to do extraordinary things. And we recognize those extraordinary things tonight. The inductees of the Hall of Fame have been pioneers in their field and forged paths for generations of Buckeyes to follow in their footsteps. Tonight, among the honorees, we fondly remember Larry Cline, who served the Marion Campus Advisory Committee and devoted more than 50 years to this community service in the Marion and Delaware counties. Dr. Richard Tuttle mentored undergraduate, graduate, and medical students for more than 5 decades and conducted field and laboratory studies around the world. Dr. Heidi Ries is a pioneer in the military, a scientist who rose through the ranks, many times being the only woman in the room. Among other accolades, she has been recognized as the Air Force Civilian winner of the Department of Defense Women's History Month Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math Role Model Award. Psychologist Dr. Deirdre Radosevich, Associate Professor of the University of Wisconsin-Madison, is teaching conflict resolution, coping, and life skills to student athletes. Dr. Andrew Vick is a pharmaceutical chemist, driving drug discovery and development, and now head of toxicology, drug disposition, and PK/PD at Altrolis Therapeutics. Gary Sims is growing his family business, Sims Brothers Recycling, as he is also expanding the region's significant sustainability efforts. Roger George was a lifetime servant in Marion's education system and a pivotal administrator leader. Roger also has been a dedicated member of the Alumni Association Advisor Council, passionately representing the Marion campus. Each of you bring a tremendous pride to our alma mater. You will stay connected to the people and the places of Ohio State and serve as a link to the past and the present. Each of our inductees has fond memories of Marion campus and appreciates how it has evolved over the years. I have watched the regional campuses flourish over my years with the university, and so it's no surprise that we hear many stories from our students and our alum about the influences of these campuses. 2019 graduate Emily Gayton comes to mind. She described finishing her biology degree at Ohio State Marion as, quote, the best thing that could ever happen to my education. Thanks to the smaller class sizes, she was able to develop her skills as a researcher and gain critical connections in her intended field. In addition to creating an amazing student experience, Ohio State Marion, through offerings like the Performing Arts Series, 5 nights on campus, connect the community with the campus, enriching even more lives. Some of you were able to tour the Science and Engineering Building, the Albert Student Center, and just last evening, the Marion Campus Food Pantry. These facilities and their programs will foster the success of students for years to come. In touring the Student Center, we are reminded of George Albert, its namesake. A Buckeye football player, George graduated with a business degree in 1929, ultimately using that degree to launch Plant Life Fertilizer, the company he founded here in Marion and the largest privately held fertilizer company in the country. When he passed away on Thanksgiving Day in 1997, he left half of his estate to be invested in Ohio State Marion, providing scholarships for Marion County students, a legacy that will live on. This long-standing commitment to creating scholarships continues to be a university priority. President Johnson has spearheaded the Scarlet and Gray Advantage program, which will create pathways for students to earn their degrees debt-free. It's not free college. The students play an active role in their investment. The pilot launched this fall with 125 undergraduate students drawn from across the state. In addition to financial support, participating students have enhanced access to work experiences and learning opportunities, focused on financial skills and career development. I know some of the Hall of Fame inductees also received financial assistance at your time here at Ohio State. And to give back, you have found ways to contribute to the success of our students, past, present, and future. You are Buckeyes for life. And as a part of our identity as Buckeyes, we will always support and champion the potential in others. You have set the example of what it means to be true Buckeyes. You inspire, achieve, and give back to the communities that we call home. I am honored to join all of you to celebrate you and your accomplishments as a part of the inaugural Marion Alumni Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
Thank you, Molly. So now we will move forward into the induction part of our program. And so really the Hall of Fame activity, you see the wall out there through the door. I hope you all saw that on your way in. The Hall of Fame activity is one of the things we had thought about for a long time, but it was really Kathy who brought that forward as one of her first activities in coming to the campus, coming back to the campus, because she herself is an alum of this campus. And so we appreciate her foresight, we appreciate the engagement. We have a committee that solicits nominations and reviews them and makes the recommendation. And of course, we always receive more nominations than there is space for just one each year. But those who are nominated in a previous year go back into the hopper the following year so that we might recognize them when the time is right and as others are brought into the group. So that's our goal, is to have this as an annual activity without interruption from 2020 to 2022. And so we'll be doing this again next year, and hopefully we can bring the people we inducted this year back, and you can join others who will also then join with you as inductees. So I'm going to introduce each of the Hall of Fame recipients, and then we have an award for them that we want them to come forward, and we'll provide an opportunity for those who wish to speak or someone to speak for them about their experience. So our first Hall of Fame inductee was almost naturally, it had to be Larry Cline. After his discharge from the Navy in 1966, Larry Cline attended Ohio State Marion when the classes were still being taught in the late afternoons and evenings at the old Harding High School. He served as the first student government president. You'll see him back there on the photograph underneath the clock. There he is, with folks sort of opening this building, or the Morrill Hall. He often told the story about moving Ohio State Marion from Harding to Morrill Hall in the back of his father's pickup truck. He received a degree in agronomy from the university and was a proud lifelong farmer and substitute teacher. He was also a longtime member of the Marion Campus Advisory Board and a tireless friend and advocate for Ohio State University and for the Marion campus. He devoted over 50 years to community service in Marion and Delaware counties, for which he received special recognition from the Delaware County Commissioners shortly before his passing. He was nominated by Kurt Seibert and Dr. Bonnie Steffel from our faculty. Mr. Cline's widow, Chris, who we met at Ohio State Marion, will accept his award, and his son, Jeff Cline, will comment.
Cline. I'm Larry Cline's son, his middle son. And my dad has always been an ambassador for the Ohio State University in almost every aspect of his life. As it was already previously mentioned, he was here from the inception of the campus when it moved to this new location. And when that happened, he had a lot of interactions with campus leaders, including the director at the time, Director Maynard, who had a secretary who was named Crystal Waddell. And Crystal caught the eye of my dad. And about about a year later, they were married. And 9.5 months later, I was born. So, without the Ohio State University of Marion, I may not even be here. I do have to be thankful for that. But Dad was an ambassador for everything. He loved the advisory board. He loved the fact that Ohio State was growing. He was particularly proud of their ability to make sure that the campus curriculum was staying in line with what was going on down on main campus. He often talked many times about if you took a math class at Ohio State Marion or a science class, that it should be the exact same class or the same weight as it is down on main campus. And then also later on, in more recent times, meshing in with Marion Technical College. He was particularly happy with that partnership. He just really was an ambassador, you know, all the time. And lastly, when the new science building opened up, he received an honor of having a classroom named after him. He was a farmer. He was an environmentalist, a scientist, an agronomist, and he really, really loved everything about the Ohio State University. And if he was here tonight, he'd probably be talking for about 10, 15 more minutes. For the Cline family, thank you very much. We're really appreciative, and this is an honor that we won't soon forget. Thank you.
Thank you. Our second nominee is Dr. Richard Tuttle. Dr. Tuttle was among the first students to attend Ohio State Marion during its inaugural session in the fall of 1957. At our 2007 50th anniversary event, celebrating 50 years of being in Marion, he was here and mentioned that he was not sure what his next step was going to be after he graduated from high school. But his mother suggested, why don't you try the Marion location? They're just opening some classes in Marion. And so he decided to try that out. So that started him on a path that led to being a professor of anthropology, evolutionary biology, and the history of science and medicine at the University of Chicago, and an individual with an international reputation. He's conducted field and laboratory studies throughout the world, authored many papers, authored or edited 9 books, received multiple grants and awards, and mentored undergraduate, graduate, and medical students, many of whom are leaders in their respective fields. He's been doing this for over 50 years. He was nominated by me. Dr. Tuttle was unable to be with us in person, but we have a video message from him that we will, or Kathy, will play.
Good evening. This is Tuttle talking from Hyde Park in Chicago. As you well know, I graduated from Ohio State University in the early 1950s and went on to Berkeley for my PhD. So I did both a master's and a bachelor's degree at Ohio State University. I started out as among the first class of the Marion campus, which I think was done in a high school, I can't remember. And I know it was in Marion. And who came down from the main campus, Leo Estelle, who I stayed with in my bachelor's and into master's degree. And also, initially I was interested after taking him in social anthropology, but then the genetics professor, or actually biology, when we did genetics, I happened to do very well in that. In fact, to my surprise, doing the best on the big test was between everybody at the main campus and whatever on genetics, and that really got me going with that and probably should continue to develop. And because they're very useful with what's going on in the genetics of race and so forth, which is something I'm involved in. One of them. So I also, the English teacher, Carter, his first quarter semester of that was also very enhancing, keeping me going reading. I love that I felt the classic English literature in high school. So there are many, many riches that come in my life because of my association with the Ohio State University. One I will aside is I also have called it musicals, of all things. The makeup and the costumes I found. And to some extent, the kind of dancing we had to do occasionally. I would just like to close by saying a few things about my younger brother, Michael. He's known as Vick Tuttle around the Marion area. He has done so much for, he just died recently. He did a great deal for conservation of many species of birds. First, the eastern bluebird, to bring that back and get it beefed up. But also kestrels and ospreys, a kind of warbler, tongue-twisting warbler. And all in all, I think he deserves this kind of place in a fame than I do. I think perhaps I'm more infamous among anthropologists, well respected worldwide, but I think outside the box is a good luck I would. Thank you very much.
So I read that as a nomination for his brother in next year. I think we'll need to follow through with that. Actually, I've got an idea of somebody who might do that, and it's prothonotary warbler is the one, that's the tongue twister. I was going to try it, see if I could get it off, and I did. Our next nominee is Roger George. Roger George attended Marion campus for 2 years, beginning with the opening of Morrill Hall in 1968, which he describes as, and this is a quote, 2 great years, and maybe we'll make him say that again when he's done talking. His entire career has been spent in the field of education, all in Marion City schools. He was a middle school science teacher whose students regularly received superior ratings at science fairs. He was a building principal and a central office administrator, serving as business manager and assistant superintendent during the major rebuilding project for the Marion City Schools. He was listed in Who's Who Among American Educators in 1996. 1996. He coached youth softball, baseball, and basketball, accepted leadership roles for many community organizations such as the Marion County Youth Foundation, and is currently, as Molly mentioned, the alumni representative the Ohio State Marion Advisory Board and the University Alumni Association Advisory Council. He was nominated by David Webster, and Roger will accept the award in person. Roger?
First of all, I'd like to thank some people here tonight for making this possible. Kathy Gerber, Jody Summerlot, I know Gary Imes had big parts in this. It's quite an endeavor to put this on, and they've done a great job. Dean Rose for making this happen as well. Appreciate that. And Molly Ranz-Calhoun for making the time to come up here is most appreciated. I would like to thank some people right there at those two middle tables. My friends, Dave Webster right there, he nominated me. I know he was one of them that nominated me. And we go way back in the Marion City Schools, been friends for years. Dick Brown, Dave White, Dave Gornflow right there, and all my family over here. And I do appreciate them being here for this award. Just a little bit about myself. I grew up in the northwest end of Marion, Ohio. I was an only child. I had very supportive parents and grandparents who always encouraged me to work hard and to do well in school. And I thank them. They're all gone now, but I do thank them. I went to Silver Street Elementary School, Taft Junior High School, and I graduated from Harding High School in 1968. Kathy asked me to do an elevator speech, and an elevator, last I knew, either doesn't go anywhere, or it goes down, or it goes up. And in my case here, my elevator went up. There's no question about it. I took college prep courses in high school because I knew I wanted to go to college, but I really didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I thought, well, maybe a science teacher. I had a great biology teacher at Harding High School in the 10th grade, Joe McKinley. Maybe some of you remember him. Did a great job. And I even thought about maybe dental or medical school, but I thought, do I want to put another 5 or 6 years on top of undergrad and not work and not earn any money? So I didn't think too hard about that. And then I also thought about a career in the Navy. I had a lot of family members that were in the military. My grandfather fought in World War I, won the Silver Star, Purple Heart, and sadly I had an uncle that was killed at Guadalcanal. His ship was bombed. So the military was near and dear to my heart. So I thought real strongly about making a career in the Navy. But I did come out here after I graduated from Harding. I thought about going to Bowling Green. But I came here, and why OSU Marion? Because it was a new building, one thing. It was spacious classrooms and labs. I toured the building. It had a beautiful auditorium. They still do. Use it to this day. A library, a bookstore. We didn't have to go to Columbus to buy our books. You buy them right here. And they had a grill in the restaurant over there. So if you had morning classes, you could have lunch here, didn't have to leave the building, come back to your afternoon classes and so on. So it was very convenient. And they had a student lounge, and believe it or not, that's where I learned to play euchre. And basically, it was a self-contained educational facility. Everything you needed your first 2 years, you could get right over here in Morrill Hall, and I did. Another thing that attracted me to Morrill Hall, or OSU Marion, was the cost. The annual tuition at the Marion campus in 1968-69 was $545. Yeah, I said that right. $545. And I'll never forget this. My fall quarter, 1968, my tuition and books cost $236. So again, it was easy to come here as far as the prices. Another thing was a job. Right after I got out of high school, they were hiring. We had a lot of industry in Marion, of course, booming here, businesses at the time. And I was hired on in Central Soy at McMillan Feed. And we were very busy in the summer. We were working 60 hours a week, 6 10-hour days. But you know what? As a college kid, I was making a lot of money. So actually, it came out to about $145 a week. It doesn't sound like much now. But back then, I'm making over $1,500, $2,000 during the summer. Then, you know, I had enough to pay for my college, have spending money, gasoline, and, just do what I wanted to do. So that's another reason I came here. And also, I could live at home. I didn't have to do my laundry. I didn't have to prepare my meals. And I could sleep in my own bed. And also, I had a quiet place to study. So that was attractive as well. But also, you get the basic courses here in Marion. The university courses, we call them. The English, the basic math, the sciences. The humanity courses, the same here as you could get at Columbus. But the art appreciation, music appreciation. I remember I had a music appreciation class on classical music, and I thought going in there, we're not going to listen to the Beatles, but it was quite a change, and I adapted, and I learned a lot in that class. Now, I see a couple pictures back there, one on that bulletin board. If you look at Memorial Hall, and then there's another one at the back, and I was given this book when I came on the board out here, and there are two pictures that really caught my attention. One of Governor Jim Rhodes, groundbreaking over here in 1966 for Memorial Hall, and the other one was the first weeks of campus opening up here in 1968. When I first looked at that, I'm like, wait a minute. That's my 1962 Pontiac Catalina. So there's proof here. Now, the school itself, as I said, had great facilities. It was new. Class sizes were great, 15 to 20 kids. Individual attention, I remember we had a chemistry prof with the name of Margaret Jennings, Dr. Margaret Jennings, later became Steppa. She was great. She let us come in after class to continue to work on our labs. We weren't rushed, and we just learned a lot. We had a small enrollment here, 550 kids. But I came from high school, Harding High School, that back then, in 3 grades, there were 1,800 kids. So me coming out here was like, wow, what's all this? And I also developed a lot of friends from the county, Marion Catholic, 4 county schools, Cardington, Buckeye Valley, Bucyrus, quite a few. And I still are friends with many of those today. My direction in life, my career pathway started right here. There's no question about it, because I said I might want to be a teacher. Well, I started some educational field experience my first year, and I remember going up to Morrill Elementary, part of the Ridgedale School District, and the building's still there, it's no longer a school. But I was able to work in there with 5th graders, doing science labs and classes with them, and it was a great experience. And then the following quarter, I went to Baker Junior High and worked in the 8th grade science class over there. So that was my first exposure to actually working with kids out in the classroom. And I really liked it. So at that point, I became more and more inclined to become a science teacher. There was something that happened in December 1st, 1969. And I don't know how many remember that, but it was the draft lottery. And I see Dave White back there drop his head, yeah. We called it the Vietnam War draft lottery back then because the war was going on, they needed troops, and it was televised all over the country. And I remember sitting in the lobby over here at Memorial Hall with a bunch of other guys and girls, and we're watching this. And the way it worked is like the state lottery. They had a big bin, and they had 366 ping pong balls in that bin. And each ping pong ball had a different date on it. Mine was April 19th, my birthday. So everybody had their birthdays in there, and they would roll it, and a ball would run out, and then they'd put it up in the rack. And you'd watch that and hold your breath. My next. Because the way it was determined, the first 100 balls more than likely were going to be drafted into this service. And lucky me, my ball came out 336. So I did not have to worry about that. I can't say that for everybody. I knew that if I did get in the top 100 and I was going to be drafted, I had planned to go in the Navy. And but that didn't happen. So again, from then on out, my full focus was to get my education and to become a teacher. And that's what I did. I had great times here at OSU Marion. Friends, we had the campus pizza shop right down the road here, where the Panera Bread is now. And that was a real hangout. But there wasn't anything else here. So just farm fields all around. There was no big box stores, no Tri-Rivers, no Marion Tech, any of that. So we hung out down there. We started May Day here, and I think they still do that in the spring of the year, May Day celebrations. We started that, I group that first year. We had YMCA activities. We went up there every Tuesday and Thursday night, and we had swimming, we had basketball, volleyball, and so on. Keep us active and whatever. And most of all, I had great instructors here. I really did. I had a good experience. One thing that I can remember here, I'm a big Ohio State football fan. Anybody out there who knows me will tell you that. Even as a young kid, my dad and I used to listen to Ohio State on the radio because you only got one game a year on TV back then. That was the Buckeyes against the team up north. And that was the only televised game. So we listened to it on the radio. And I had never been to an Ohio State football game at the Shoe until my first year out here. I was lucky enough to go down and watch him play Purdue University. Purdue came in here ranked #1 in the country. They had an All-American tailback named Leroy Keys. Mike Phipps was quarterback. They were great. We had a bunch of sophomores that nobody didn't know anything about. Rex Kern, Jack Tatum, Jim Otis, Jim Stillwagon. Nobody knew anything about those guys. But we soon found out who they were because they wound up beating Purdue 13-0. And then they went on and won every game that year, wound up in the Rose Bowl. And in the Rose Bowl, they played an undefeated team, the Southern California, and they were #1, we were #2. Of course, Southern California had a tailback that you probably remember too, named O.J. Simpson. And we did win that game. And we were national champs that year. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is great. My first year in college, we're national champs. Well, lo and behold, I didn't realize that it was going to be 34 years later until we would win it again in 2002. But anyway, it was fun times then. There were some trials here at OSU Marion and all over the country during the late 60s, early 70s. We had Martin Luther King's assassination. We had Bobby Kennedy's assassination. We had inter-city riots going on. And we had the Vietnam War protests. And I'll never forget this. In May 1970, the Kent State shootings, that really impacted the universities at the time. Ohio State had to close for a week. We had a bomb threat out here, and we had to close for a day. But we did get through it. And at that point in the fall of 1970, I went on to OSU in Columbus. It was a culture shock. As I said, I had 15 to 20 kids in class out here. But when I went down there, one of my first classes was ecology. And I remember going into Mershon Auditorium, and there were 400 kids sitting there, and the prof was up on the stage. It was like taking a course at the Palace Theater. I'm like, wow, what is this, you know? And science labs, we didn't get any extra time. You got your hour in, you're out of there, because there's another group coming in. So it was different. It took some getting used to, but I did get used to it. I graduated from OSU in the spring of 1972 in comprehensive science education. I received my master's in 75 from OSU in ed administration. And then I came back to Marion. This is home. It always has been. I was born and raised here, and I'll probably die here because this is part of me. So I worked for Marion City Schools as a science teacher for 6 years, elementary principal for 15 years. That's where I first met that, Rural Street School. And business director and assistant superintendent for business director 5, assistant superintendent for 14. So I had a total of 40 years. And then I retired in 2012, and I guess I got bored. So I set out a year, and I decided to go back, and I worked 2 years as a supervisor at Marine English Early Childhood Center, which is affiliated with Markham. And I really wasn't quite used to that. These little kids, 3, 4, and 5 years old, but it was quite an experience, many of them special needs, and it's something that I'll cherish the rest of my life. In my 42 years, as Woody Hayes would say, pay it forward. And I think I have paid it forward, at least I tried. And over the years, I have affirmed my faith and love for O, I, O. Thank you, and go Bucks.
Hey, thank you, Ron. Congratulations. Our next honoree is Gary Sims. Gary Sims attended the Marion campus in 1976 and 77. His family business, Sims Brothers Recycling, is the region's largest and fastest growing environmental company. Mr. Sims and his family have a long-established history of engagement and philanthropy in the community, and particularly at the Ohio State University and Ohio State Marion. For this campus, he co-chaired the Affirming Our Friendship campaign in the early 2000s that made possible the construction of this building that we're in right now, Maynard Hall. And his family and company contributed directly to the development campaign for the Science and Engineering building. He received the Ohio State University Alumni Citizenship Award in 1997 and other community awards for his dedicated community service in multiple ways, such as being on the Marion General Hospital Foundation Board, the Marion County Youth Foundation Board, and the Pleasant Local School Board of Education. He was nominated by Kathy Gerber and is here to accept the award. Congratulations.
Thanks, Greg. This is a tremendous honor for me, so I really appreciate that. It's been 45 years since I've been on this campus, right over here at Memorial Hall, and that was the only thing that was on this campus 45 years ago. So a lot has changed in 45 years. We have this beautiful campus now with all these buildings, and a lot has changed. And one thing that hasn't changed is the quality of education, the excitement, just everything that's happened here. Is, when I was here also, and it's still going on today, with small class sizes, full tenured professors, and so that's one thing that hasn't changed. So I do want to just congratulate the other nominees or other ones tonight, the honorees, and just want to say a few things about Larry Cline. So I did know Larry pretty well, and he was always had a smile on his face, what a gentleman. Every time he was here and I was here with him, you could just tell the pride he had here in the campus and the university. So just wanted to say that, but it is an honor to serve with all the rest, or be nominated and be recognized and honored with all the rest of you, so I appreciate that. I want to thank Dean Rose and the selection committee. I don't know what the criteria was, but I think in my case it probably wasn't GPA. So I appreciate all that, appreciate Kathy and the rest of you as well to put this wonderful night together. So just thank you for all that, and go Bucks.
Our next honoree is Dr. Andrew Vick. Dr. Andrew Vick attended the Marion campus in 1989 and 1990. He's a pharmaceutical chemist and currently serves as head of toxicology, drug disposition, and PKPD, which means something for somebody, I'm not sure, and Atralis Therapeutics. He's very active at the university as a member of the Dean's Corporate Council for the College of Pharmacy, an adjunct faculty member for the College of Pharmacy, and he has traveled to many colleges and universities around the country to promote the pharmaceutical industry and to mentor undergraduate and graduate students in leadership development and career coaching. In addition to Dr. Vick's scientific contributions, his nominator mentioned his selfless servant leadership. Dr. Vick has launched partnerships between his former company, Charles River Associates, and the regional campuses in Marion, Mansfield, Lima, and Newark. In addition, he's provided donor support and facility support himself and through his companies. He was nominated by Erica Lashley and is here to accept the award. Congratulations.
Let's see, I was asked for a few remarks, and I think that the table two agreed that spontaneous remarks sounded better than winging it or cold turkey. So that was the kudos to table two, and really as I reflected on this evening, I really felt myself reflecting on a piece of advice that was given to me years ago, and I'm quite sure that I've given that advice to others. And it is essentially, don't let fear keep you from achieving your full potential. And maybe that's even, at this stage of my career, and maybe at this stage of my spiritual growth, I can tell you, I'm kind of fairly fearless, which is probably why I may be comfortable giving this remark spontaneously. Maybe that's just a little too fearless. I probably should have a little bit of fear, but that's just a great place to be, and the peace that comes with that is great. But as you can imagine, that wasn't always the case. And if you even spend a moment thinking about 17 and 18, and when you were finishing high school and thinking about embarking on this kind of great life, great world that I think stood before us, and particularly as you thought about college, which I don't know was ever really part of the plan until 1989 was there and it was present. And I can tell you that at 17 and 18, I wasn't fearless. I was really scared. I was scared of just what's next. I was scared of, I think I was scared of the mega campus experience. And maybe if we were honest, I was scared of getting lost, in a sea of other people, just being lost in a crowd. And so, in that regard, I think that Marion campus is a great blessing for many of the reasons I think other people highlighted. It's, the benefits of a small community campus. I mean, you have small class sizes, as were said. You have just the interaction with the faculty who are really passionate about their vocation, which I think was mentioned. You have community. You have a community that doesn't just stay with you for that period, but it really stays with you for the rest of your life. What it really did, and why I'm so thankful, is that you gained in experience, you gained in confidence, you gained in community. Can you think of a better foundation by which to grow and be fearless? Many years later. And I really attribute and acknowledge a lot of that great gift and what an investment that is when a university invests in you and equips in you in a way that is transformational. That's something that just saying thank you doesn't say it all. That really deserves, I love you. And I think that's the best thing that you could say to Marion campus. The other thing about fearlessness that I think I've enjoyed over the years is that sometimes it comes through, even the most fearless of us need the support from others. And we need others that help lift us up and I didn't think I'd get emotional, but that really support you selflessly and sacrificially. And so really two of the individuals in my life that were probably most critical to my support, and when I say selfless and sacrificial support, I'm not saying enough, and that is my wife, Vick, and my mother, Mary Vick. So thankful to both of them for being part of my journey and being here tonight. So love you both as well. So on that note, I will just again thank you all. What a privilege it is to be here in your company, enjoying fellowship together, and you can't not end with anything other than a go Bucks.
attended the Marion campus from 1999 to 2002. As an outstanding student here, she received many scholarships, conducted research with faculty, completed a senior honors thesis, and presented her work at the 2002 American Psychological Association annual meeting as a student. Her scholarly activity as a student was recognized at the OSU Presidential Salute to Undergraduate Academic Achievement. She completed her master's and PhD degrees at St. John's University. A licensed psychologist, she works in private practice at the Bay Center Therapy Mindful Path Center and as a teen psychologist at the Third Element, teaching conflict resolution, coping, and life skills to student athletes. She also holds an appointment as an associate professor of psychology at the University of Wisconsin. She's published research articles, received grants in support of her research, and mentored undergraduate and graduate students in clinical supervision and teaching. She was nominated by Dr. Tracy Tilka, a Marion campus faculty member, and is here to accept the award. Congratulations.
Hello. It's been 20 years since I have been on campus, and the time I spent here was wonderful and absolutely a beautiful foundation for my psychological career. I knew as a high school student that I wanted to become a psychologist, and I vaguely knew what that meant, but really didn't know the details of necessarily what went into that. Tracy, I can remember being in her class and hearing her providing kind of those steps, those guidelines for us as to what it would take to become a psychologist. And not only did she do that, but offer wonderful mentorship opportunities along with Dr. Dan Christie to be able to help build those skills that I continue to use every single day and to start off my interest in research as well. So I wanted to thank my parents for continuing to push me and to go beyond my dreams and keep going after it. My husband for his wonderful support. And I have my two daughters here who I hope I continue to be a great role model for you, and I hope to continue to make you proud. Thank you.
Our next nominee is Dr. Heidi Ries. Dr. Ries attended the Marion campus in 1978 and 1979. She recalls the support of Dr. Gordon Albrecht, professor of physics, in building her technical knowledge and her confidence, and the example of Dr. Peggy Steffel, professor of chemistry, as a woman in science. After graduating summa cum laude with a bachelor's degree in physics, Dr. Ries completed her PhD at Old Dominion University. Following other pioneering roles at the United States Air Force Institute of Technology, including serving as Dean for Research, she is now its Chief Academic Officer at the Institute, where she is charged with overseeing and ensuring the highest standards of academic quality in both graduate and professional continuing education, instruction, and research. She's also a professor of physics at the institution and has amassed a long list of publications and grant awards. Dr. Ries was nominated by Kathy Gerber and is here to accept the award.
Thank you all for being here this evening. This is truly an amazing honor for me. I've probably attended classes here at a younger age than many of you because my mother was among the first students studying education when Morrill Hall was open. And a few times, my father, Dan Mitchell, who may have taught some of you who are here in the room at Pleasant High School at some point, couldn't always take care of my brother and me after class, and Ohio State Marion was welcoming enough to allow my brother and me to accompany our mother to class on a few occasions. So I certainly appreciate that welcoming attitude. And it continued then when Ohio State hosted a math club for high school students. And I think that was also an important part of allowing me to see that there were other students who actually liked math and would spend extra time doing it. And in addition, it was a female math faculty member who was leading the club. And so coupled with the other outstanding faculty members that I interacted with, who I mentioned earlier, Dr. Albrecht and Dr. Stoffel, those experiences enabled me to gain the confidence to be in the room with other scientists and engineers and be successful. Certainly some others have mentioned the smaller class sizes, and I can't tell you how important that is to a woman who would otherwise have probably been one or two or the only women in a class of 400. So it's a whole lot different to be here as one of 10 to 15 for those experiences, and having someone like Dr. Gordon Albrecht, who you may not be aware was named a Physics Teacher of the Year by the American Association of Physics Teachers. So that type of national award gives you a sense of what an outstanding teacher he was that enabled me to, in some small part, carry that into the classroom when I was a physics teacher that helped my success. So I definitely appreciate all those experiences. I certainly want to thank my family, and particularly my husband, who I met in one of those little bit larger classes at Ohio State together when I was a sophomore and had to move on from Ohio State Marion. And also one of my colleagues, Dr. Deirdre from Air Force Institute of Technology, who's also helped me along the way, even in those earlier years when I was still the only woman in the room. He continued to encourage me, so I appreciate that. So thank you all, and again, go Bucks.
So as you see, we have some tremendous individuals that we've been able to place on that Hall of Fame wall, and the opportunities that they had here, as you heard this evening, helped them move to where they are. But of course, what they've done is really, with the foundation that we've established, really built by themselves and in their own skills and in their own abilities and in their own hard work and commitment to moving forward. So we're so lucky to have all of them here this evening. We're so lucky to have the opportunity to honor them this evening. And I just want to identify one more person, Ashley Gordon, who is on our, she's run off, she has a young one. So Ashley Gordon is on our, was on our nominating committee, was here this evening earlier, so thank you, Ashley, for that. And then there's a little note here that said it was Deirdre's birthday yesterday. Okay, there it is. I saw that here, and I had to mention it. Also, Gordon G. Harding's birthday yesterday, too. There it is, and my mother-in-law. Anyhow, thank you very much for being here this evening to honor our inductees, and I would ask the inductees to wander back to the wall there so we can get a picture of you really in person, along with your picture of you on the wall. So thanks everybody for being here this evening. I appreciate the time, I appreciate your commitment, and I guess I have to end with this. Go Bucks!